News with Gina.
The News with Gina Grad.
Well, I don't know if you've heard about this yet, Adam or Brian, but John Singleton has had a stroke, and it's more dire than originally thought. The director's in a coma, according to TMZ, and the family's establishing a conservatorship for the 51-year-old. So Singleton, who first found fame with Boys in the Hood in 1991, suffered a stroke last week after a flight home from Costa Rica. They thought it was mild. According to legal papers obtained by TMZ, his mother, Sheila Ward, has asked a judge to appoint her temporary conservator because he's unable to properly provide for his personal needs for physical health, food, clothing, shelter. Quick
PSA, by the way. I'm sure we don't know what's going on with him health-wise or up to that point. But if you're on a long flight, get up and walk around because you will develop blood. You can develop blood clots.
Is that the thrombosis thing?
And those little
deep
socks,
vein thrombosis,
those compression socks.
Yeah.
Get up and walk around. At the very least, the stretch, the socks, whatever.
Of course, I'm aware of this because I'm writing a feature with him. And Brian Koppelman is from Billions and all the other movies and his partner. And I obviously met with John a few months back at the shop, and we had a very long, great chat. And Willy T. Ribs has been out a few times to meet with John and hang with John and, just go with him and sort of socialize and have a drink and share stories and everything else. So the last I spoke to Brian, he said, this is about 3 weeks ago. He said, we're getting together with John and we're getting started on the screenplay for Showtime. And I was like, good, knock yourself out. And now this. So it's very sad. I don't have any inside information. Of course, our hearts go out to him. I don't know Singleton well. I knew him to be a very likable guy and It's also very sad, as I've said, when I see my dad, he's sitting in the same living room. He was always sitting next to some valve oil for his trumpet, and he's just sitting there. It's like John Singleton. Like when I see that, I met that guy. He was like shot out of a can. It's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I want to do your thing. I want to do that thing. I want to do this thing. And it's like kind of like what we're talking about with Michael Mann. Like these guys want to do so many things. So when you see that guy laying incapacitated, it's really, I think when you mourn or when you think about somebody, you think about the sort of space between what they are now and what they were or what they were becoming or what they wanted to do or wanted to be. So it's like you have old Nana and she's in a wheelchair and she's not able to get around. She's not able to do things and blah, blah. Now she's in a hospital bed. Well, you don't like that, but the chasm between the wheelchair and the hospital bed is not,
gradual.
And it's just not that big a leap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you see a guy and he's fit and he's energetic and he's telling you about all these projects he wants to do and he's younger than I am, and now I believe he's in a medically induced coma. I don't think he slipped into a coma. I think he was put in a coma.
I think that was the same thing with Luke Perry.
Yes, which is not a good thing, but I guess it's better than slipping into a coma.
Swelling? Is that why they do that?
I guess, and we'll talk. I'll get Drew on the blower, but all I'm saying is if it were up to me, I would rather have a physician induce a coma. Couldn't be a good thing, but better than slipping into a coma. I'm assuming. I have no idea. We pray for him. We wish him well. I really don't know what this means. It cannot be good. And if I find out anything, I shall let you know. It's a world where, he comes pulling up on a Saturday 4 months ago. He's in great health. He's energetic. He's enthusiastic. He has many things he wants to do. And now he's in a coma in a hospital room. And this isn't even after a hang gliding accident. Right. This is just something that happened. So hug your kids and appreciate.
Walk around on those flights.
Walk around on flights and appreciate what it is. Now, how long is that flight?
Costa Rica, that's Central America.
Yeah, I was there last year, 6.5 hours. It's basically the same to Hawaii, I think.
Okay. All right. So Couldn't hurt.
Yeah. It might not be the only reason, but it certainly couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Or couldn't help.
hurt.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I hate to follow it up with such other horrible news. I don't know if you heard about this, but the driver of the semi that plowed into stop traffic along Interstate 70 near Denver is in custody and will be charged with multiple counts of vehicular homicide. This is insane. So listen to this. It's according to CNN. The runaway semi hit several cars and trucks in Lakewood last Thursday.
We're looking at a picture which just looks
like apocalyptic.
Yeah, it's Armageddon. It's fire everywhere and debris everywhere and trucks everywhere and everything everywhere.
Yeah, he's going to show you a little bit of footage while I talk about it. Authorities have not determined precisely how many people were killed, but they say multiple. Lakewood Police Department say that 28 vehicles were involved in this crash. 4 semis, 24 cars. The driver, he was driving a flatbed truck loaded with lumber, was injured in the crash, not seriously.
Why are they never...
I know.
Perfect.
Why are they never injured? Seriously. Like, they're the tip of the spear. They're in the cab.
I think because they're kind of like built like tanks.
Well, but in general,
I know,
the
but
impact
everything
of the
blows up and there's fire everywhere. Like, why aren't you?
I don't know, man.
Well, they're saying that at this point, there's no evidence of drugs or alcohol. It seems like he just lost control of the vehicle and the diesel fuel started this fire. But this is real quick. This is crazy. This kid or, young adult guy happened to be in traffic, stuck in this traffic, just sort of live streaming how bored he was. And he caught the moment that the truck went past him. You cannot make up this reaction. This is him.
That speeding semi captured on Josh McCutcheon's live stream camera.
Oh, my God!
It's just crazy. I mean, it just happened to speed by him while he's going, hey, guys, stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
Wonder if the brakes went out.
Yeah, who knows? They're obviously going to do a giant investigation.
He was also speeding. Look, I want to say this to all the people out there. It's my same kind of argument with when people go, no nukes. I go, okay, so we'll frack or we'll drill holes in the earth or we'll put oil derricks off the coast of Santa Barbara.
No derricks.
No drilling, no nukes,
yeah,
no fracking.
So here's the thing. You go like, driverless semi-trucks. No. Come on. That's too dangerous. Like, what? Do you think humans don't have frailties and do drugs and miscalculate and have all commit suicide and do everything else?
Look at
like
the phones.
Yes, I trust a driverless truck once the technology is worked out. I trust a truck to have less accidents with a computer at the helm per million miles traveled than I do with a guy with a GED and maybe a coke problem. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
And you go, well, I'm sorry, but I don't think I want a guy behind. Look, it's just statistics. That's all I'm interested in. There's going to be X amount of truck accidents with semi-trucks per year in every country per million miles traveled. I think it would be significantly less with this technology.
And the lazy knee-jerk reaction to whether it's nuclear power or driverless vehicles, the lazy knee-jerk reaction is always, nope, not going to do that. I understand that new technology is scary and new things are a little scary. Let's get past that and then let's actually start to dive in and see if this is viable.
Yeah, and I look at whether someone's doing some sort of microsurgery on my son's arteries. If it's a robotic arm, it's a robotic arm. If it's better than the guy with the scalpel, then it's better. I'm not here to judge. Oh, I want a human being. Only human. Whatever's safer, and I'm sure we're getting there. And part 2 of we're going to put a lot of truckers out of work. Not interested in that either. We'll have to find something else, just like we always do.
Well, we're talking about driverless vehicles, and you and Elon Musk are on the same track on this one. He said that electric automaker expects to have its first operating robo-taxis on the road next year, according to Fox News. Musk noted that any customer would be able to add or remove their car from the Tesla taxi network. So it's a model like Uber and Lyft. No driver would be operating the car, but owners could earn money on the rides.
Oh, it's like while you're sleeping, your car could be giving people rides.
Making money for you. Tesla would take 25% to 30% of the profits. Musk predicted 1 million Teslas could have fully autonomous capabilities in 2020.
Let me say this. Take something like this, but, get it back to, let's say, Uber or Lyft. Remember a few short years ago when they were talking about Uber, Lyft, and the folks that had the taxi medallions were going, this is an outrage. Yeah. You need a professional driver. Who knows what kind of people are? Who knows what their backgrounds are if they're fully insured? These guys are not professional drivers, blah, 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 blah. How great an impact has this made in everybody's life? I mean,
personally, I only ever used the Lyft and the Ubers of the world.
We walked out of the San Francisco hotel we were in 5:45 in the morning. 2 Sundays ago, Max Zapata was sitting in the lobby. I said, it's dark outside. It's Sunday. It's 5:45 in the morning. It's like, let's get an Uber. Yep. Boom. I said, where is he? Yeah. Within 1 minute. 1 minute away. 1 minute away. Look, amazing. The cabs are like, remember, you'd be in your room, you'd be calling. They'd be like, the dispatcher, where is he? Well, give him between 20. What's your name again? You should have called
90 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And they're always very pleasant. No, they were surly.
The cab, they smelled it weird. The suspension was shot. Look, everybody, let's not, whether it's the driverless semi-trucks or the driverless Ubers or the Teslas or the Ubers or whatever, of course there's such a thing of a rogue Uber or Lyft driver who's high or drunk or had his license suspended, just got divorced, and is now going to drive you to New Mexico against your will. Like, okay, but that also exists with bad truck drivers and also exists with bad cab drivers. So let's just call that a push. And now I've used these guys for thousands of miles, never had a bad experience. And this is
all you do is complain about them.
This, to me, that's all I do.
It's true.
All the guy does. Well,
5 stars.
The guy was playing Fitty Wap at 5:45 in the morning. I am so grateful that someone picks us up in the airport, does all that, don't have to deal with the cab and all that kind of stuff. And this is a perfect metaphor example of, please let these companies grow and exist and help us.
They'll find their equilibrium. Society.
Yes, you do. We do not need the government to issue taxi medallions at $100,000 a pop. We don't. All that does is create a monopoly, service bad, whatever. Also, I don't know. I've heard a million stories about cabs not picking up a black man, but I haven't heard any about Uber.
Mm-hmm. If you were that cab driver, you'd pick him up and make sure.
That's right.
I'd open the goddamn door. That's right.
Real quick, Chris, you can probably look. It's probably easily searchable. I'm wondering what impact. I'm wondering if there is any impact. I suspect there is. Uber and Lyft have had on drunk driving, accidents, arrests, whatever.
It would have to go down.
It would have to, right?
Point,
in the last 5 years, whatever it's been.
Dramatic. It has to be dramatic. So there you go. Win, win, win. Again, use this as sort of a template. Government, which is, okay, this is what the people want. This is what this company wants. You're going to get the tax revenue that it generates. You'll have to have certain rules but in general, they will police themselves. And the reason they'll police themselves is because they don't want to get sued. So if they have a guy...
it's in their best interest to stay in business.
Yeah, they won't hire people with multiple DUIs to come on board because they're going to... Gargas and company are going to screw them. Okay, sorry.
And by the way, he added that potentially in 2 years, though Musk knows his timing's off a lot, the cars won't even have steering wheels or pedals. Until regulators are comfortable with that, though, taxis will have ways for drivers to take over. Mm-hmm. So there'll be a little bridge there. We're not all the Jetsons yet. Mm-hmm. Bad news for the Chiefs. Again, the Kansas City Chiefs have told wide receiver Tyreek Hill, you know his number?
15?
Oh, 10.
10.
Okay.
Oh,
rotten movie.
All right. I knew he had a non...
Very rotten.
The
people have him at 12.
Well,
he's 10 and the quarterback's 15, right? Mm-hmm. He's got a non-wideout number at 10. Yeah, sorry.
He was told to stay away from the team after a local TV station aired an audio recording of his fiancée accusing him of abusing their 3-year-old son. The recording surfaced a day after a county DA declined to file charges against Hill because he said there wasn't sufficient evidence to prove that he was responsible for the young boy's arm injury. This is an 11-minute recording. Crystal Espinal, that's his lady, accuses him of punching their son in the chest. He denied it, but the kid keeps saying daddy did it. The Chiefs listened to the recording, contacted Hill's agent, informed him that he's been banned from all team activities. The 3-year-old's been removed from the home, not currently living with either parent. Here's a small piece of the audio of Tyreek and Crystal, and it doesn't look good for Tyreek.
He is terrified of you, and you say that he respects you, but it's not respect. Me. It's terrified. He is terrified of you.
You need to be terrified of me too.
So that's cool.
Yeah, look, I don't know what his environment is, but there is...
Maybe he thought she was a DB. You need to be terrified of me.
There's only one background that makes you think it'd be a good idea to inflict harm or pain on a 3-year-old or 5-year-old or 2-year-old, whatever. Is you got beaten. That's it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. When you have a kid, it doesn't make sense to put hands on them, just like it doesn't make sense to have sex with them unless you were abused sexually. You have to come from some place where somebody is putting their hands on you.
Well, and especially when she says he's terrified of you. He doesn't respect you. No, he respects me. That's language you've learned already.
You equate it.
Yeah, so he comes from an environment where people are putting their hands on him, or did when he was young, and now he's putting his hands on the kids. That's something that would be we should address as a society, but it's kind of a weird thing, and it's also a weird cultural thing, which is it's probably a little more prevalent in the black community, and every black comedian I've ever heard jokes openly about mama picking a switch out, mama telling me to go give me a whooping, and everyone just laughs their asses off. And it is a problem, and it's not really a laughing matter, because later on, the kid that got the whooping from the switch or the spoon or the coat hanger or whatever, oftentimes has that as a tool in his toolbox or her toolbox of conflict resolution.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't make sense to put my hands on people because it doesn't get to the conflict part of what it is, especially whatever it is to your kid or your wife or whatever it is. If people grow up with it, then it becomes part of that, and it should probably be addressed, but it won't. Anyway, I mean, you hear like Anthony Anderson. Is it Anthony Anderson?
There is an Anthony Anderson.
Is there a black Anthony?
Yes.
He's more of an actor, but yeah.
Well, didn't he have some issues?
Yeah.
Transformers?
Yeah. He'd do like 20 minutes on mama opening a can of whoop ass and beating his ass with a spoon and stuff like that. And it was all very funny, but not really if you're 5 and mama's beating you with a spoon. I feel like, again, bullet dodge. My only, I don't like the idea that Lynette doesn't bake. But I do like the idea of not being chased around with a rolling pin.
She doesn't bake, she doesn't beat.
That's right. And I've read enough Andy Capp to realize that's the weapon of choice domestically at
40% used for rolling out dough. 60% for threatening and or beating.
Yeah,
spouses.
And then the real weapon of war, the marble one.
Oh God!
Yeah,
that's you mean business.
That's got some heft. Yeah, it's going to cause
that's
some
found
damage.
Lipstick on the collar.
You have a Uber report? Sorry.
Yeah, so basically most major cities, the number of DUI arrests have decreased between 30 and 60%.
Wow.
Except for in Vegas and Reno, which pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah, because people are taking taxis everywhere anyway.
But these reports are still really controversial. There are a lot of people saying that it's hard to know the complete impact of what they're called TNCs, transportation network companies that... like Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Well, look, here's what I want to tell all the people about all the studies all the time. When you hear a homeless expert has written an article for the Los Angeles Times citing cost of living as one of the main contributors to the homeless situation, cost of living and cost of housing, So the cost of an apartment or the cost of a gallon of gas or a gallon of milk or a dozen eggs. You go, homeless expert says, and then you see the guy out in the street shooting up and he's sleeping in his own flop, and you're like, no, it's not cost of living. So when you hear these things, you don't need to look into this. Ubers are ubiquitous. We all know 1,000 people who drunkenly Ubered home from a party, including ourselves, 1,000 times. you don't need to crunch any numbers. We know it's impacted it in a super positive way. The question is it insanely positive or is it just super positive?
Right. But footnote, I was parked in front of Cedars-Sinai Hospital waiting for Christy to come out, and a woman tried to get into my car thinking I was an Uber.
There you go.
Yeah, she's like, I couldn't hear her outside the window, but she was basically like, for Shelly? I'm like, no.
Brian took her to the woods and killed
her. That's right. Yeah. And bottom line, I need some bleach.
Jesus Christ.
Now we know.
Go ahead, Gina.
Well, Coachella festival goers often deal with dehydration and exhaustion after the event, but according to TMZ, many of them are now dealing with herpes. According to the makers of Herp Alert, which is an online diagnosis and treatment website for the STD, there's been a huge spike in folks looking to get treated for herpes in the communities surrounding the music festival. This Herp Alert's been in business now for 2 years. It has doctors issuing prescriptions right to pharmacies after people submit photos of their affected problems for medical pros to review. TMZ is told that the site has seen a massive surge in folks seeking prescriptions for herpes since day one of Coachella. 1,105 cases have been reported in Indio, Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Coachella Valley, also L.A., Orange County, San Diego, all places where most of the festival goers came from.
Well, it can go no other way, right? Just a whole bunch of young people with herpes just sort of spreading that blanket out and getting it on.
Mingling. Mm-hmm. And also there's a lot of people stay on site. They stay in tents, like in a big enclosed area. So I imagine that was really hopping. The spark between Pete Davidson and Kate Beckinsale appears to be flaming out, according to Us Weekly. The pair were, quote, hot and heavy for a while, but a source tells Us Weekly Pete and Kate have pumped the brakes on their relationship. They're still hanging out, but less romantic, more friendly. The 25-year-old, I know.
What does that mean?
Maybe he found somebody else.
Hanging out.
She's
going
not
to hockey games?
No. Kissing.
You guys.
So
you broads.
What's that supposed to mean?
You know.
You can't base your attraction on a guy by who he was banging before you. That's not criteria. You have to do it on the time-honored, measured, quantifiable things like how wide his hog is or how much money he has.
Yeah, like the good old days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Values.
Right.
Values. Right. Thank you.
Well, he's 25, she's 45, and of course after he was broken up with by Ariana Grande, they took up together.
Oh, he's going to go on a decade-long tear of super hotties because that's how they roll. And by the way, every chick on the planet is doing the Ariana Grande and Kate Beckinsale math, which is you all land somewhere in between those two, and you're probably not quite as hot. So you'll be somewhere in between, and you're not quite up to the pace. So start
It'll be a
sucking.
step down no matter what.
It's on. It's on.
Yeah.
It's done.
Does it keep going in the direction? Does he call up to me more next?
No, I think he slides down to like a 31-year-old or something like that. But it'll be someone and it'll be someone hot.
I can't wait to break that story.
I don't even know what he does comedically. That's my point.
You've mentioned that.
At least make people laugh a little bit. That's all.
Yeah.
It's the weakest link in SNL. By far the worst player they have is getting the best pussy. Not fair.
Not right. It's not right.
Not right.
Ratio's off. How many more do you want?
2.
Okay. So actor Michael Madsen, he is beginning to feel the fallout from a recent DUI charge. He was arrested last month after he drove drunk and crashed his Land Rover into a pole. He's been notified by the producers of a film he was working on that he's been fired.
Wait, what? You got to fire him? You don't know who Michael Madsen is when you hire him?
I have an answer for that, actually, because that's what intrigued me about this. He was supposed to earn $100,000 for a role in a movie called Chronicle of a Serial Killer, but apparently producers are worried he'll be in jail instead of on the set. So they got to get out in front of this and recast. Madsen, who is a repeat offender, could be sentenced up to a year in jail if he's convicted, according to TMZ.
Call Lyft, buddy.
Yeah, we just discussed this. All right, let's do one more.
Details for the next James Bond movie were revealed, and some big names involved. It's a man transitioning into a woman who's also a woman of color who's transitioning into an indigenous Native American who's transitioning.
That's ambitious.
Oh, yeah.
Look it up.
Oh, we're woke. Oh, yeah.
It's based on the original novel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's Daniel Craig.
Oh.
One last time. The villain will be played by Rami Malek from Bohemian Rhapsody fame.
Can I say this? That's fine.
I need my Bond villains to be physically imposing. You know what I mean? I can't have Daniel Craig.
No Roger Moore then?
No, the villains. I need the villains to be physical. That was the problem with like 40% of the Bond villains. They're like little wispy guys.
I'm with you.
But is that their thing? They're frail and they're petting hairless cats.
I like two. I want. There's two things we need to impose in the Bond series and in all series. And I feel this way, especially about Bond. Now, so Daniel Craig, he's going to get fucking shredded for this role. Like, he's going to get shredded. And there's going to be that scene where he's in Cannes and he's in the south of France. He's on the beach and he's walking in his tight sort of Euro
shorts.
Yeah, Euro boy shorts or whatever it is. Or that scene where he gets out of bed and he sits on the foot of the bed and he's all vascular and everything like that. Okay, fine. Every other scene is him drinking a martini and
smoking
and eating out once again. Yeah. Okay, I need one scene where he's at the goddamn gym.
Yep.
I need one scene where he's doing some push-ups in the hotel room. I need something.
Yeah,
I can't just have ripped all the time. Now, old Bond was in decent shape, but I can't have shredded
he wasn't
and you out drinking highballs and eating sushi all night. I can't have that. I need some reason. You need to make a comment. Or I can't meet you, Q. I have to go to the Bally's. Like something. Something that explains your insane fitness when none of your life suggests it at all. You drive around Aston Martin, you drink martinis all day. Sure, you do a lot of banging, but you're probably on the
cardio.
You're on the bottom most of the time, I'm assuming. So this thing of being insanely shredded and never have a coworker when you reach for a donut go, hey man, that's not on your diet. Allude to it.
Right. Yeah.
That's all.
Acknowledge it.
The worst is when they do the thing where it's like they'll do the thing where it's like, oh, he's a hard drinking cop on the edge, and like the guy wakes up in the morning, he's like 40 of malt liquor, like grabs it from his nightstand, like chug. Looks
now
around.
Get the day started.
Pizza box next to him, flings it open, grabs a piece of cold pizza,
cuts with the scissors.
Right, starts to put his shirt on, and he's jacked. He's completely jacked, and it's weird because you go like, oh, look at that guy. He's got veins. He's greased up, and he's shaved. And everything. He's living off malt liquor.
He should be pot bellied with like love handles.
Dad bod.
Yeah.
Yes.
At best.
Or
you should pray for a dad bod.
Have him
dying on the inside.
Wake up in the morning, instead of taking a cigarette out to take a bite of lasagna, have him doing some chin-ups or something. Just reflect what's going on.
Grab his matcha tea.
Thank you.
Well done.
All right. Did we bring it home?
I mean, we can. Do you
Daniel
really care
Craig.
about this movie? It's coming next
I will
April.
say you're right with the cat, the Blofelds of the world.
Yeah.
As long as they have a good henchman, there should be someone physically imposing. In that
well, what the hell happened to Idris Elba as James Bond?
He's in Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, he's
pretty psyched for that one.
Because my God, people want to see him as Bond.
He's in Hobbs and Shaw. Look out!
Look out! We'll do that. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.